Welcome to the next lecture of communication systems, and we start now uh, second part of our syllabus, which is about random processes. As I have discussed with you, there is a change in your syllabus as compared to previous batch. We had earlier a course on random process and noise, and then we had a one course on communication system. Well, now instead we have two courses, in fact three courses on communication system: communication and law communication, then digital communication, and information theory and coding. And what we have done is that random process and noise course, the syllabus which was in that course has been divided in these three courses. So in this course, we will be studying the basic concepts behind random process. And I hope you might have covered basic concepts like random variable, okay, in your mathematics course. And I will briefly recall here, you might have done it there also. Random variable is nothing but it is actually a mapping or a function from sample space, which you usually denote by omega, to the set of real numbers. Okay, so as an example, if you have a simple head and tail case of coin tossing, then you may map that if head is coming out, you may map it to number, suppose 0, tail you may map to 1. Now this 0 1, this denotes a random variable x. It can take any value 0 or 1, and we can have probabilities associated with it. So you have done this random variable in your mathematics course. Now to explain, to start with a random process, I will give an example first. Let me define a function as a cos omega ct plus capital theta. I'm writing here, okay, capital theta, and let me denote this as x of t. Okay, now this is simple waveform and with some phase phi. Now let's assume this phase is not deterministic, rather it is a random variable. Okay, and you might have done one type of random variable that's called uniform random variable. Uniform random variable. So let's assume that this phase is having a distribution which is a uniform distribution. And one more thing, you also might have done two types of random variables: discrete valued random variables as well as continuous valued random variables. Let's assume this is continuous valued random variable. Now what will be its distribution? And it is uniform random variable, and we say it is uniformly distributed between 0 and 2 pi. Okay, so what does it mean? You might have done uniform distribution. Let me tell that. It means that graphically, if you plot the probability density function PDF, which you might have done, I will denote that by f capital theta of theta. You might have done like f capital X of small x. This you might have done in your math course. So small x denotes the particular value a random variable can take. Similarly, capital theta here is the random phase, and small theta means a particular value. Now what it means that it is uniformly distributed is that between 0 to 2 pi, the probability density function will be constant and it will be 0 outside this. Okay, now what should be the height of this? What should be the value of this point? You know that one of the properties of probability density function is that its integral for all the possible values of random variable sums up to the 1, which in this case will mean that the area under the integral should be 1. Now let me take this height as to be some constant k. So it means the area of this rectangle, which is k into 2 pi, that should be equal to 1. So hence k is equal to 1 over 2 pi. So I can write the probability density function of this random phase f capital theta of small theta as 1 over 2 pi whenever the theta is between 0 to 2 pi and it is 0 otherwise. Okay, now you look at this. I'll write it again here. X of t is a cos omega ct plus theta. Now the behavior of this function can be quite complicated and different than the usual random variables you have seen. First of all, I will do two-way analysis. Let me first keep some fixed time. Let's say we study this random variable at t is equal to 0. At t is equal to 0, it will be x of 0 equal to a cos of this theta. Now at this time particular t is equal to 0, it is actually a random variable now, because there is only one thing there, theta. It's a random variable, right? And it can take any value depending upon what value theta will take between 0 to 2 pi. In fact, if you see this, if I denote this x of 0 as suppose y1, this y1, which is equal to a cos of capital theta, it is also a random variable. I don't know whether you have done, that's called transformation of random variable. If x is a random variable, I will denote rv as a random variable. Then if we take y is equal to some function of x, okay, in this case as an example, this function is cos, so y is equal to cos of x. X is a random variable, y is also a random variable, right? So when we have a random variable, we can talk of its mean, right? We can compute its variance and similar other parameters. Now if you change the time to suppose now t is equal to some 1, then you have x of 1, that will be a cos of omega c plus again theta. So this is another random variable now. At another time interval you get one more random variable. Here you have omega c as a fixed constant, but capital theta as a random variable. Okay, this is one way. Similarly you can go and so on so forth, compute x of 2, x of 3, so on so forth. The other way around we can think of is, let's suppose random variable theta, capital theta, takes a particular value, suppose pi by 2. Okay, it takes particular value at any randomly. Now what will be x of t? It will be a cos of omega c plus pi by 2, and you can represent that in terms of sine also, right? But it will be a particular waveform now, right? So it will be some sort of sine wave, so like this. So this theta can be anything. Suppose it can be pi by 3, right? So then at that time x of t is equal to a cos of omega c plus pi by 2 or pi by 3. So it will be something maybe start like this. So for every value a random variable is taking, you have a different value that this function x of t is taking. In other words, or the other way around is, at every point of time x of t defines a new another random variable, right? Such a function which is random as well as depends on time. It is a random variable, but it is a function of time also. That is called random process. Random process. I will write it formally. So what I can say, a random process is a random variable that is function of time. Okay. It has one more name which you might have heard. It's stochastic process. Stochastic process. It's not to make you scary. Random process or stochastic process, they are actually very, very complicated to study in very general sense. So definitely we will do very basic things because it's quite early in this course. But in general, it is not. It takes several semesters actually to understand the rigorous theory behind random processes or stochastic processes. But we will do very basic things here. So let me now make some terminology, proper terminology about random processes. The first terminology is about something called ensemble. Ensemble is a collection of all the waveforms for all the possible values of, suppose, this theta. So it is collection of all the waveforms in fact collection of all the possible waveforms. Okay, so in this example, for every possible value of theta, right, 0, then you can take all the value up to 2 pi. So it will be actually infinite, uncountable infinite. Then for every theta you will get a different waveform. For every theta you will get a different waveform, right? The collection of all such waveforms. That's called ensemble. The another thing is that is called sample function. Sample function is when you fix a value of, you know the sample point and other things. So you have a random variable theta. It has a sample space here, 0 to 2 pi. And if you take any sample point, suppose I took pi by 3. Now I got a cos omega ct plus pi by 3. Now this is called sample function. Okay, this is called sample function. In other words, a particular waveform of ensemble is a sample function. These are two terminologies. We'll use it again and again. And we now I will give an example by which you can basically get the idea of how complicated the random process can be in reality. Now if you go to random variable, suppose x is a random variable, to specify the characteristic of a random variable, you define it as distribution function, right? Distribution function, let me recall it here. Suppose if you take a discrete random variable, okay, so you will ask what is the probability that a discrete random variable x takes some particular value, some small x, right? And you may have made a notation px of x for different values of small x. Suppose it can be 0, 1, 2, 3 or any other value. You get different probabilities, and this collection you call as probability mass function. Or you could ask another question, that what is the probability that random variable x takes some value less than or equal to small x. This you have defined as a notation fx of x. You call this as cumulative distribution function. You might have done also that for continuous random variables we can never ask what is the probability x dot x. This is always 0. Okay, if you haven't done, then I will take this in doubt class. For continuous random variables, what we do is we differentiate the CDF and we get another function which we denote as fx of x. We call that probability density function PDF. So given a random variable and its distribution function, whether CDF or PDF or PMF, depending upon whether it is continuous or discrete, you completely specify a random variable. You get all information you need about random variable. Now come to the random process. Or okay, before that let me come to suppose you have two random variables which you might have studied in your course. Suppose x and y. Let's take example of discrete. Suppose x and y are discrete random variables. As an example, two people are throwing a die together. One output of die we call x, the other we denote by y. Okay. Now we can ask joint questions like this. Probability, what is the probability that one random variable capital X takes some value small x, another random variable capital Y takes some value small y. So this is denoted as pxy of xy. This is called joint probability mass function. Similarly, you can ask same question in this way also. What is the probability capital X is smaller or less than equal to small x, capital Y is less than equal to small y? This we can denote as fxy of xy and this will be called as joint cumulative distribution function. Similarly, for a continuous random variable, you can have joint probability density function like this. Okay, so you will do it in math course. You can define it as, so you have a CDF, joint CDF xy, differentiate this with respect to x, also differentiate it with respect to y, double differentiate, and you will get joint probability density function. Okay, now if you have three random variables, suppose you have x1, x2, x3 as three random variables, we can correspondingly define, suppose if they are discrete, so a joint probability mass function like this, or a joint cumulative distribution function like this. If they are continuous random variables, then joint probability density function like this. Okay, now come back to the random process. So we have a random process here, x of t, right? So as an example, you can think of a cos of omega c t plus theta. We will not be always too lucky to have a closed form expression for random process. It's not always possible, but this is one example. Now suppose I take different time intervals, t1, t2, t3 up to tn, right? Now at t1 I get one sample function or one particular ensemble, x of t1, then x of t2, x of tn. Now see, they are all random variables, right? Because theta is a random variable. So at any particular time, this a cos omega c t1 plus theta is a one random variable. At another time t2 is again a random variable. So they are all random variables. To specify them, as we have seen above, we had three random variables, x1, x2, x3. To specify them, we needed joint distribution. Similarly, to specify these instances of random process, which are all random variables, we will need joint distribution functions. Okay, so let me denote by px of t1, x of t2 up to x of tn, and let them take a particular value is denoted by x1, x2 up to xn. So this will be the joint probability density function for these many samples of random process. Now you can yourself feel that in general how difficult it is, especially when you have a continuous time. So this t1, t2, t3, it will be an infinite sequence, and you cannot completely characterize also. It's very difficult. So for this reason, we will, in this course, we will try to study simple random processes which are not too complicated. See, I will give one more example. Suppose you take this random process, same random process, a cos omega ct plus theta. Okay, let's take t is equal to 0. So you will get x of 0 is a cos of theta. Okay, what is the mean of x0? You all should be able to do it. So it will be expected value of a cos of theta. So I will here recall one basic result of probability theory. If you have a random variable x and you know how to compute its mean, if it is continuous, you define it like this: x fx of x dx. Now if you have a function of random variable, suppose g of x, what is the expected value of function of random variable? It is same, but instead of x you write here g of x, then you write the density function of x dx. Now instead of g of x, you have here cos of theta. Theta is random variable, so its expected value will be integral a cos of theta f theta of theta d theta. F theta of theta is that probability density function. We know that. What is that? It is 1 over 2 pi whenever theta is between 0 to 2 pi. So a cos theta in 1 over 2 pi d theta. So you can easily see that this means 0, right? Now if you take any other time instant, suppose you take t is equal to pi by 2, just do this exercise, you will also get that. Sorry, you take any other time interval, t is equal to not pi by 2, any other interval, t is equal to 1 or whatever, you will find that the mean is always 0. Okay, so otherwise if you take any other random process in general, its mean, if I denote by mu, will be function of time. Function of time. So it means at every point of time the mean is different. But there is a special class of random processes wherein this mean of random process, although the process varies with time, but mean remains constant. Okay, and some other statistical parameters also we will see they remain constant. So we will focus mainly on those random processes which have this special structure. Otherwise you can yourself feel to study random processes in general you need to specify such a very huge general distribution. Okay, so in next class we will study a concept called stationarity, what a stationary process is, and then we will focus on some special stationary classes. In particular our main focus will be wide sense stationary process, which is very important with respect to communication system. We'll be defining some important terms like autocorrelation, which you might have seen in some other context. We will again recall it, and this will also answer your various questions about power spectral density. We'll define that also. So I request all of you to revise the probability basics which you have studied in mathematics course. They will be very, very important for this part of course, random process. And for your convenience, I will not follow any other book. I will follow BP Lathi. So for your information, I have opened it here. So here is the BP Lathi's, the old edition, and chapter number 11 is the random process chapter. So I will try to follow as much as possible, from this book, so that you don't have to go to any other book. And the other good thing is that this book discusses random process with respect to communication system, so that is also advantageous. So it discusses whatever we need for this syllabus. I think it is here. If there will be any concept which is not in this book, I will myself study that, prepare the notes. You don't need to go to any other book, just focus on one. Okay, so kindly revise probability theory basics and follow this book. Thank you.